exclusively.
Party and Sid.
77 WABC.
Well, first of all, locker room talk, and most people have heard it before, and I've had a lot of women come up to me and said, boy, I've heard that, and I've heard a lot worse than that over my life. And, you know, that's why I'm going to lose an election, to get rid of ISIS and to create strong borders and rebuild our military and do all the things we're going to do, including Supreme Court judges and saving the Second Amendment because it's under siege with Hillary Clinton, or as I call her, Crooked Hillary, which is what she is.
Crooked Hillary.
If that's what's going to take to lose an election, that would be pretty sad. Then I have to go back to my other life. But I'll tell you what, I think we're going to win the election, Bill. I think we're going to win the election. People are tired. People are tired of Obama and they're tired of Clinton.
There you have it. On the Bernie and Sid show. An optimistic Donald Trump. And me, I'm sad today. My buddy Sid is out. Lashana Tova, I would say. He's out for, what is it, Yom Kippur today, right? Not Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
No, I think exactly. He lost money in the Giants.
That's possible. But anyway, we miss Sid. Sid's out. And, again, Happy New Year to everybody. I know it's a day of atonement. It's not a celebratory day. People are fasting.
They're fasting, and they're also not probably listening, the Jewish people.
I do have this image of Sid, in temple right now, davening, bowing down with his yarmulke on, thinking of a corned beef sandwich at this point.
I could see him starting with people about the election.
You mean argue? Tempers will be
flaring.
Yeah, absolutely, because of the hunger. That usually happens, right? Yeah, people get pissed off when they're hungry, right, Mike? You know.
Well, I was going to say, in Sid's case, it could be the roid rage. How could you tell the difference?
True.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, Donald Trump is out there. He's the shackles are off, baby. The shackles are off. Even Kellyanne Conway said this morning on Good Morning America, no more pussyfooting around. She actually said that, yes, believe it or not.
Are you allowed to say that?
You can say pussyfoot around, and you can call people, you can call somebody a pussy. You just can't, you know what you can't do.
Yeah.
You can't do specific, unless you're on Saturday Night Live, of course. It's okay.
You can't grab it.
You can't. But look, I like Trump's optimism, but it's not really looking very good. It's not looking good at all. It's looking, but we do have a little bit less than 4 weeks left to the election. So I remain optimistic, but I don't know. The swing states, the national polls, they're all bad. And we just have to see some more polls that reflect some post-debate numbers, because although Sidney disagrees, I think Trump won that debate and did himself a lot of good. But then you have these disloyal cowards like Paul Ryan and a lot of these Congress people who they just don't want to fight. I don't know. Where's that fighting spirit? I mean, the chips are down. You get up and fight. And Trump said it last night. He says, I wouldn't want to be in a foxhole with these people. And it's true. The Democrats, they rally around their guys. I mean, Bill Clinton. I mean, Jesus. He had the cigar in the intern, and they were all, wow, it's all about Leave. Who cares about that? And Bill Clinton's popularity numbers remained sky high. And Ted Kennedy, he left a woman to drown, and he ran away from the cops, went home, swam home.
Well, they had the media on their side.
I know they do. Yes, they have the media on their side, but still, they stick together. But the Republicans, for some reason, I know they don't like Donald Trump to begin with, but still, you have 4 weeks left. You fight. You got these emails coming out showing the corruption and the collusion and the bigotry that the Democrats are engaged in. Donna Brazile, actually, she runs the Democratic National Committee. She was working for CNN back in March, and just prior to a town hall meeting, she was feeding Hillary Clinton questions that some of the town hall participants were going to ask her. I mean, it's all out there, and they're complaining. They're saying, yeah, well, look, there was this hacked emails. It's not fair. Well, that to me, that's the Donald Sterling defense. Remember the owner of the L.A. Clippers, the racist guy, and his tape. It was his girlfriend who surreptitiously taped him and released that tape. So the Democrats invoking the Donald Sterling defense, I don't think is going to be effective. The fact is, They colluded with the media. They are colluding still with the media, but I mean, it is now in black and white. The New York Times, the Boston Globe, CNBC, this guy John Harwood, who was actually a moderator of one of the debates, was communicating via email, which was released yesterday, with Clinton's campaign manager, this guy John Podesta. It's all out there. It's absolutely stunning. The corruption and the sleaze involved, but it's still not going to help our guy because, my guy, because the media, they're unbowed. They don't care. Unapologetic. They're going to continue to collude and go against my guy. But so anyway, he was on with O'Reilly last night. This will be cut 3. He was talking about the media to Bill O'Reilly and their dishonesty, and he's right on the money about it. But it was an interesting. He brought up Hannity to O'Reilly, among other things. Cut 3. Take a listen to Trump on O'Reilly.
CNN, first of all, their ratings are terrible. I don't know if you've seen
they're
their
doing
ratings.
better because they're on Hillary's side and all of that. But you're right. I'm not going to dispute the fact that
they're doing badly in the ratings.
80% of the press doesn't want you to win. That's a lot, 80%. But you always have a forum here, and I think Fox News is giving you a fair shake. Would you say that's accurate?
I would say, I would say Fox has been pretty good. Your guys in the morning have been fantastic. You've been fair. I wouldn't say you're the greatest, but you've been fair. I think Fox has been over. No, you have some great people. Sean Hannity is a great person. You have some great people, and you have some people that frankly don't treat me fairly.
All right.
But you've been fine.
He's a great American.
You've been fine. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC on the Bernie and Sid show without Sid. Is it over for Trump? I hope not. I don't think so. I think things will happen, events will occur, and it'll tighten up again. But right now, it is not looking very good. And it's not looking good also for Billy Bush. In the New York Post this morning, they actually they say not officially, but it's Billy. An NBC insider told Page 6, quote, Billy is technically fired. It's just a matter of time. NBC isn't ready to announce it yet. They're negotiating his exit. So this whole thing about objectifying women, this all of a sudden, everybody's a saint, everybody's a Puritan. All of a sudden. You know, it's objectifying women. In other settings, of course, it's celebrating women's sexuality. But now it's objectifying women. A guy like Billy Bush, because he was with Trump. Now listen, Trump, what he said, grabbed him by the P word, indefensible, and nobody talks like that. He was being an idiot when he said it. He should not have said it. But do we think he ever did something like that? Nobody's alleging anything like that. It was stupid talk. But still. That aside, the conversation is about objectifying women, and Billy Bush is getting shoved out. Again, everybody's a saint now and a Puritan. This can't be happening. How can people objectify women? And by the way, NBC, the same outfit, just for example, Sunday Night Football, they put Carrie Underwood and Faith Hill sing the song in tight little dresses. I mean, look, we're not all we're not all saints here. We're not all altar boys. I was going to say priests, but that kind of doesn't work anymore, right?
That would be bad.
That would be bad. But and then this woman I pointed out yesterday, also NBC, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but if you get this stuff on satellite radio, talking about the P word and objectifying women and piece of ass and all that stuff. I mean, you buy a car and you have satellite radio and it's right there. I mean, anybody have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with it.
NBC has TV shows out there that show half-naked women after 8 p.m.
Without a doubt. And I was talking about FM radio yesterday, how it's audio porn, essentially. I mean, it would make your jaw drop to listen to some of the lyrics that your 12-year-old daughter is listening to and singing out loud to. It's just they're filthy, have been for years. And so I said that yesterday. Now this woman in Mediaite, she wrote, her name is Crystal Wright. She wrote an article about it, and she invoked. She talked about the Melania Trump's sweater that she wore, the pussy bow shirt she wore to the debate the other night. How in James Bond's movie they had the character called Pussy Galore. You have Big Pussy on The Sopranos, of course. But she points out that Comedy Central's Trevor Noah was so offended by Trump's use of the word pussy that he said, "It's not the locker room, it's you, MFer." She writes, because MFer is the language of choir boys in church. No, it's crude language of thugs and black hip-hop singers. Where's Noah's outrage at the army of artists using the P word in their lyrics? And then she goes into a bunch. She cites they call it. They use these words. And by the way, they talk about a lot on FM radio, big booty bitches all the time. I love me some big booty bitches. There's no outrage. Nobody cares. But Billy Bush is getting fired. So she talks about they actually have what's called a P word poppin' playlist, a little alliteration, and she talks about the song "P Word Is Mine" by Miguel, and then there's "P Monster" by Lil Wayne, and then there's "P N-Word" by Gucci Mane featuring Nicki Said the Word. It's "Trap P" by Tyga, and
you can't say trap. Come on.
I Smell the P Word by G Unit. This is all being played on FM radio. As Eminem said, investing in your kids' ears and nesting. Now, let's play a couple of them. Let's play, let's see. What do we want to play first,
Let's
Fleury?
do G Unit, I Smell.
Okay, let's do that. Go ahead.
So you smell that? What's that? I smell. Is that you, I smell. Is that you, Jive? I smell. Is that you, Black? I smell.
There you go.
Is that you, Ty? Yeah.
That's currently playing on FM radio right now, folks, and your kids are listening to it. Now, nobody says boo. And then there's Lil Wayne, who's he's a monster artist. But speaking of that word, Lil Wayne's P Monster. Listen to this.
And I hope you make me eat my words, 'cause my words is and I'm the monster, the monster. You gotta feed me.
This guy's a megastar, Lil Wayne, and these guys. This is normal. This is run-of-the-mill stuff all the time. And Nicki Minaj, she's another megastar out there, celebrated, lauded, and feted everywhere she goes. And Billy Bush is getting fired. Because all of a sudden everybody's a Puritan. Poor Billy Bush is getting slammed.
The weird thing is, if you came to me at this time last year and said the Bush that would do Trump in during the election would be Billy, not Jed, I never would have believed it.
Yes, well, very good. Jimmy Kimmel had that last night, and you could be one of his writers.
No, I was watching the Cubs game, so
it's so true.
We should go to number 5 on the countdown. Miguel blank is mine.
Okay, let's go to Miguel.
Never had a chance to get in your pants, so tell me that the is mine.
So romantic. Yeah. Tell me, baby.
It's all mine.
Grab him by the.
I can hear Tony Bennett singing that. Yeah.
Now that's Miguel. That guy's he's a big star. I mean, but Billy Bush is getting fired. He's objectifying women. Nah, this would be a little too tough. A little inconvenient to go after what's targeting your kids, actually, not adults. This is kids. Kids listen to this stuff. Teenagers.
We have to turn the radio down when this stuff comes on in my car.
It's unbelievable, right? It is jaw dropping. 1-800-848-WABC. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Chris before we break. Chris, you're on with Bernie without Sid, sadly, on WABC. Good morning, Chris.
Bernard, thank you for letting me come on. We've spoken before. Chris from New Jersey. You've even complimented my dad, who was a World War II vet.
Nice. Oh, speaking of which, Chris, so let me just mention, we a World War II vet. I had no idea. Norman Lear is coming in next hour. The legendary Norman Lear of All in the Family, et cetera fame. But Norman Lear flew 52 combat missions over Europe in World War II. Believe it or not. So props to him and your dad, Chris.
Did you know Mel Brooks was a World War II vet? I believe he was in the Battle of the Bulge.
I didn't know that. Ed Koch as well, but I did not know that. But anyway, go ahead, Chris.
So here we go. I do not think it's over for Trump for a number of reasons, and I've been supporting him from the beginning. Yes, what he said was hard, but I grew up in sport locker rooms through college, and things are said. What it comes down to is Americans are not stupid. Trump got hammered in the first debate, and he's my man like he's your man. In the second debate, he stood there and took Hillary to task on everything the media has not done.
Right.
He has pointed everything out. So
absolutely. The emails, Benghazi, you name it.
Yep.
He stuck it right in the mush. I agree.
You have a smart electorate and an angry electorate. And I'd like to say this out to the Congress. The United States symbol is an eagle, but for the Republican Party, you should be adopting the weasel, because that's what you all are.
I know, a bunch of craven mutts is what they are.
And just to say, my name's Chris LaRocca from New Jersey, and I'm not ashamed to say that.
There you go, Chris LaRocca. Make America great again from New Jersey. Bernie and Sid without Sid on WABC, 1-800-848-92. Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC. Nicki Minaj, and of course, her buddy there, Two Live Crew, talking about his anaconda. And her, you see Nicki Minaj dancing, touching herself, twerking on the MTV Music Awards, objectifying women. And there's this meme going around of Miley Cyrus complaining that Trump objectifies women as she sits on a huge phallic-shaped thing, basically with nothing on. Trump objectifies women. Everybody's a Puritan this week.
Everyone's a hypocrite.
Everybody this week is a Puritan. And poor Billy Bush. Billy Bush is out because he objectified, because he said, oh, my God, look at that. Look at the legs on that. All of a sudden, everybody is a damn Puritan. And now page 6 says Billy Bush is out. And they also write, a source close to Billy told us he told people at NBC about this tape. What if there was a transcript of the tape and high-level discussions about when to release it? Which executives were involved, and why did they decide to suppress the tape until October when they could have aired it in August? Was it an oversight or a strategic decision by NBC to affect the race? How do you like that?
It was strategery for sure.
Of course it was strategery. I mean, it was timed perfectly to eclipse those email releases showing Hillary talking about open borders and talking to Brazilian bankers about free trade and how it's going to benefit you guys and going to screw the American workers. Of course it was. And now we have more emails out showing further collusion. So things stink is my point. I guess things that just really, really stink. Let's go quickly to Bill from Trenton, New Jersey. Bill, you're on with Bernie and Sid without Sid on WABC.
Yeah, nice without him. Nah, he's a good guy. He just gets on my nerves. But anyway,
I love him.
You know what pisses me off? Here's what pisses me off. I was a Democrat years back. So now the Republicans got a chance with Trump to take a lot of votes from the Democrats like me and a lot of other people. And what do? They go against the guy. You know, I'll never vote Democrat. I'm a Republican. If he doesn't win, I'll never vote Republican. I ain't voting Democrat no more. I don't even think I'll vote. I'll vote independent.
Listen, that's a fear that they're shooting themselves in the foot, that people in November, because of what Ryan did this week, are going to just say, screw the down ballot ticket. Screw them all because of what they did, the craven SOBs that they are, when they should be fighting. When the chips are down, you fight. That's what we do. That's what the Democrats do. That's what America does. When the chips are down, you don't give up, you fight. 1-800-848-9222. Bernie and Sid. Without Sid, sadly, back after this.
77 WABC.
Wait. Did you see where she said that I entered her space? So here I am. I'm standing. This is a liar. So I'm standing at my podium. I've got my chair. And Crooked Hillary walks across the stage right in front of me. I'm standing. I didn't move, right? So I'm standing, and she walks across the stage. She's standing right in front of me. I didn't care. I read the paper. She entered my space. She entered my space, right? But did you see what she said? That I entered her space. I didn't move. And I was very careful, because years ago, somebody did come in and talk to her. And the poor guy, Lazio, he got just killed. So I said, I'm not getting near this woman. No, I'm not getting near this woman at all. No interest. No interest.
None at all whatsoever. Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC, minus my buddy Sid Rosenberg, who's out for Yom Kippur.
I miss Sid. I do.
Big time. You know, he brings a certain energy to the station.
I know, and he slaps all of our faces in the morning. I miss that.
You know what I'm saying? It's my boy right there. But anyway, it's a solemn holiday. He's with his family, and we're happy for him. Now, we're going to go to that was Trump talking about the debate, and they were trying to make a thing about Trump getting into her space, and again, when he mentioned that she was going to go to jail, you know, it was an off-the-cuff, funny comment, but of course, the media and everybody else will try to do what they can. As we know now, they collude with her campaign to get her elected. Nancy from Long Island, you're on with Bernie without Sid on WABC. Good morning, Nancy. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I could be worse.
I know. Me too. So I'm the, quote unquote demographic they're trying to reach, the white suburban, female voter, independent.
Right.
I'm educated. I'm an attorney, law degree, political science major. So here's
Very
my
impressive.
issue. So here's my, whatever. But here's my issue with it. As a female, they're throwing around this sexual assault and sexual content that he used, the way he spoke. Look, again, none of us are defending it. But when you have actually been a victim of sexual assault or you know someone that has, this is not in any way likened to that. And the fact that they throw it around is like how they throw around the word bullying now. Bullying is used. I have children. They throw the word bully around like when we were kids, like slammed against the lockers was bully.
Hey, listen,
now,
you know what, Nancy? I'll let you continue, but the bullying has become so trivial. They've trivialized the word. Bullying is what happened to that kid who committed suicide. Not when Donald Trump talks tough about an opponent in a campaign. It's when a poor kid is forced to commit suicide in a school. So don't make that word frivolous. Don't trivialize it. But anyway, go ahead, Nancy.
And that's my point with this sexualization that they're talking about, the way he spoke. They're trivializing sexual assault. Trump spoke a certain way. Yes, he did. But again, everyone says it's not Bill Clinton running for president, but that's his wife allowed what she allowed. They are the ones who he sexually assaulted. She did worse as a female. She then attacked these women that she knew he had assaulted. And as a female, people are like, aren't you offended by the things Trump says? Look, am I offended? I don't know. Not really. I'm a New Yorker. It takes a lot to offend us. But, as a general rule, I'm not happy with what he said, but it's not talk I've never heard before. It's nothing new. What is new is that a politician is allowed to sexually assault women for years, and his wife batters them for years, and now they're both going to go back into the Oval Office together.
Going to go back to very excellent, well stated. You're absolutely right. It's stunning, and yet, all this sanctimonious outrage about what Trump said as opposed to what they actually did to women. It's disgusting. It's sickening. But I will say this: it's refreshing right now. There's at all of these events, including Obama's yesterday, you had Bill Clinton, you had Hillary Clinton out yesterday, and people are going in with signs and they're screaming out, they're heckling all three aforementioned people there that Bill Clinton was a rapist. As a matter of fact, listen to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, both of them on the stump yesterday in Florida, as people scream out Bill Clinton is a rapist and how they handled it. And it's really getting on their nerves. Take a listen.
Latinos, people with disabilities, Muslims, POWs, and so many more. So... I do hope somebody follows that gentleman out and stages an intervention. He clearly has not been following this election very closely.
What?
That's a problem. And don't we also need... Whoa. No, don't be like them. Give him a hand. They've had a bad week.
That was the former president right there, the alleged rapist. Play that again. It was funny. The guy had good timing. Bill Clinton says something, and we'll take a listen.
That's a problem. And don't we also need...
Here's the problem. You're a rapist.
Whoa. No, don't be like them. Give him a hand. They've had a bad week.
So both of those guys were roughed up at the events by the Clinton supporters and violently thrown out of the rallies. But that's no big deal. Let's go to John from Dutchess County. John, you're on with Bernie and Sid, minus Sid on WABC. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I could be worse, John. How about yourself?
Fairly well. I just want to express my fear that in 4 weeks, a lot of Republicans and people sitting in the middle, independents and conservatives, are going to stay home because of a comment that he made in 2005 when he was not running for president. I don't think he even knew he'd be running for president because he couldn't forecast how poorly the country would be doing like it is now.
Well, not only that, of course, he didn't realize he was on. It's not like he said it on the air, which doesn't excuse it whatsoever. It's a stupid, idiotic, moronic comment, but it's not disqualifying, especially when you compare it to what, as Nancy just pointed out, the two other clowns have done in the past.
No, I totally agree. As presidents, no less.
That's right.
And the mistake was made in 2012 where people thought Mitt Romney had the election. I think a lot of people stayed home, Republicans and conservatives, and that probably lost us the election. And I hope this doesn't happen again. I hope people realize that, yeah, I'm going to go and vote for Trump because I don't want her. I don't want my taxes to keep going up. I don't want my paycheck to keep shrinking. And we really got to change things. I don't care what the Dow says or the market says. I just want things to be fixed, and I think he has a better chance to do. She's a
without a doubt
politician. She's a very good speaker, I'll tell you that. And that thing with the sniffing, that's the other thing that bothers me. I think that's just nervousness, because when I speak in public, my mouth dries up.
Oh, the sniffing? Yeah, that's just a peccadillo that he has. I've noticed that for a long time. It's just come to the fore in these recent debates, but he inhales through his nostrils. And
it's irrelevant.
It is irrelevant.
It's something for him to pick on and say, oh, he does cocaine or this and that. Give me a break.
Right, exactly. It's something to try to seize on, whatever it is. But listen, I agree with you, and I think the race, whatever it is, the vote will be closer than what's being projected today. I really believe that. Other things are going to come out. Some of these, the corruption and the collusion, it's going to reinforce people's beliefs and opinions that the whole system is rigged. And it's going to, especially the Sanders supporters that may be thinking about voting for her, they're going to be disgusted. And let me give you another thing. On the economy, Trump is much better on a bunch of things. But on Syrian refugees, she wants to exponentially increase the number over what Obama wants to allow in here. Syrian refugees, folks, people you can't vet, who, by the way, she admitted that in some of these hacked emails, that there's no way to vet Syrian refugees. In Germany, where Angela Merkel allowed, almost 1 million Syrian refugees into her country, forcing the Brexit vote, which is going to break up the European Union. England, the United Kingdom, voted to get out of the European Union, basically because what Angela Merkel did, allowing 1 million Syrian refugees, because they have open borders. Once they settle, then those refugees can go anywhere they want, including the United Kingdom, but not now, because the United Kingdom said, hell no, we don't want that. Anyway, yesterday, they just busted a Syrian refugee who had this a big bomb-making operation, a Syrian refugee who just got into Germany in his apartment. They busted him. Listen to the reporter from the BBC.
And police say they have found more than 1 kilogram of dangerous explosives in a Syrian refugee's apartment. They detained Jabba al-Bakr after a 2-day manhunt. The Saxony Crime Office says he may be linked to ISIS.
There you go. Maybe linked to ISIS. So already you have a Syrian refugee. You already have problems. They call them rape refugees. They don't assimilate. They treat women like garbage. Women dress in a miniskirt. She's asking for it, et cetera, et cetera. So, and Hillary Clinton, with her dream of open borders, wants to, as I said, 550% increase in the number of Syrian refugees, and God knows where. She wants open. She's telling the South Americans we want open borders. She doesn't know what the hell. She's going to ruin the joint, is my opinion. And so I think a lot of this is going to resonate. Stuff is going to come out. So I'm keeping hope alive, is what I'm saying. Joe from Long Island, you're on with Bernie and Sid, minus, sadly, my boy Sid Rosenberg. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Bernie. By the way, I really do enjoy your show, and even more without the Sid.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No. My boy Sid he's the life of the party, let me tell you.
Yeah, he is entertaining. I'll give him that much.
Damn right. But anyway, what were you going to say, Joe?
Listen, I want to get right to it. Now, follow me, Bernie, because this is factual. We listened during the recent interim election. Elect us. We're going to stop Obamacare. We're going to make sure the Supreme Court nominations are blocked. We're going to do all. But so we elect them. Then they get in, and then they tell us, but we can't do anything unless we win the White House. And what does Paul Ryan come out and do?
Right.
His stand is now, well, let's protect ourselves. But they do nothing for me or you as Republicans. They don't stand and fight. They will never stand up against Hillary's Supreme Court nomination. They're afraid to shut the government down. So why do I need them there? Somebody explain to me.
You're right. Yeah.
Ask Paul Ryan, why should I worry about you? You do nothing. You approved the omnibus budget. Of course, he said, I had nothing to do with that. I'm only here to look good. It was Boehner who had made this deal. Come on, what are we, stupid?
You're 100% right.
I don't need them. Nobody in the media brings it up either. Why don't they ask Paul Ryan? You told us in order to get anything done, we need the White House. But now you're throwing the White House away.
A month in advance of the election. A month in advance when there's still time to fight.
Why do I need him? Why do
you don't need him? And that's why I think, as I stated earlier, he and they, those hashtag never Trumpers, are shooting themselves in the foot because people are going to be pissed off and they're not going to go out and vote for the down ballot guys, these guys that threw Trump under the bus. Or are throwing him under the bus. There's one female senator has retracted her non-endorsement of Trump, and now she's back to endorsing him after his performance at the debate. So there's at least one out there that knows it was a stupid thing to do. Yes, on the Supreme Court and on Obamacare, without the Oval Office, you ain't doing nothing, man. The Supreme Court's going downhill, and Obamacare is going to be here to stay. And then it maybe go to a single payer, which I believe would be better than Obamacare. It's just a mishmash. The deductibles are incredibly high. They're sky high. Premiums, deductibles, it's a mess. Anyway, 1-800, thank you for the call, Joe. On the Bernie and Sid show, minus my boy Sid Rosenberg on WABC, 1-800-848-9222. Next hour, we have the great, the legend, a living legend, Norman Lear of All in the Family, etc. fame, Sanford and Son. You name it, all kinds of fantastic shows. Anyway, next hour, Norman Lear.
To be enormously successful.
It's about truth, the damn truth, New York's truth, the truth behind the BS. For New York, nothing at all in between. This is Bernard McGurk.
So Bernie.
This is Sid Rosenberg.
The one and only Sid.
Live, local, on it.
You never know what's going to happen.
Exclusively.
Bernie and Sid.
77 WABC.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made.
Those were the days.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
And that's not even the half of it. The body of work, that's a soundtrack of a lot of our lives right there. Encompasses a lot of it. Anyway, in the studio here on the Bernie and Sid show, without my boy Sid Rosenberg, who's off of Yom Kippur, Norman Lear, who created all these fantastic, wonderful, groundbreaking shows, is in the studio with me right now. Good morning, Mr.
Can you believe it?
I cannot. I am. Look, I'll just read All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Hot in Baltimore, One Day at a Time, Mary Hartman, etc., etc. Fernwood Tonight, which was hilarious. the Baxters, and on it goes. Norman Lear, welcome to the Bernie and Sid Show on WABC.
I couldn't be more pleased to be anywhere. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Listen, I did not know this. I did my research. You have first of all, you have a film that's been out. It was debuted at the Cannes Film Festival, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, it's going to premiere on PBS on October 25th. It's Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You.
That's been my bumper sticker for a lot of years.
Okay.
Just another version of you.
And what does that mean?
It means that's who we are. In our common humanity, we are versions of one another.
All right. Now,
whatever the skin color, whatever the ethnicity, we're human beings.
And that's a theme of yours, our commonality,
yes.
which is a recurring theme. And but also, the DVD will be available that day as well of this Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You, and it's all about your life.
It is.
And I did not realize that. I want to bring this up first and foremost. You flew 52 combat missions in World War II.
Yes.
52 combat missions, bombing.
Well, here's the way it was. When we went overseas, we were on a mission basis, and there were some missions we got credit for 2 missions.
Right.
Because they were long, flying out of Foggia, Italy. Then they went on a sortie basis, which was every time you drop bombs. I flew 52 missions, dropped bombs 35 times. And I'm an American, so I use the largest figure.
Well, as well you should. And listen, first of all, let me ask you: were you terrified? A lot of those missions, I know these people went. In fact, they had a limit, like 24. They started out 24 missions, and you were done. Then it was 30 missions, and you were done because guys couldn't handle the stress. And so, were you terrified when you went on some of these?
Well, yes, but the only way I think anybody could get me to put on all the clothing I had to put on, including a flak suit,
you're freezing up there,
suit, and everything else, and get in the plane to be shot at from the air and from the ground. I had to believe, basic human nature, it won't be me. I'm not going to go.
Right.
No matter what I see, no matter what I know, it won't be me.
And essentially,
otherwise they couldn't get me into that plane.
Right. Well, interesting. And you wanted to, I read up, you wanted to be known as a Jew who served. You enlisted in 1942, shortly after the Pearl Harbor attack. And that's a quote from you. You wanted to be known as a Jew. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that was when I was 9 years old, my father he went to prison. And in that time period when he was away, there was a Father Coughlin on the radio, who was viciously anti-Semitic, and quite loud about it. And I was frightened to death at first until my civics classes in schools, which I don't teach anymore, taught me about my Bill of Rights, my Constitution, my Declaration of Independence. And that my country said, no, this is wrong. This is not the American way. You don't judge anybody by their religion. And that meant everything in the world.
Lasting impression. And okay. And you mentioned also Foggia, Italy. I just happened, as an aside, knew a man named Jack Valenti, who was the...
I knew Jack very
Jack
well,
Valenti flew missions out of Foggia, Italy.
He's the other one.
Don't tell me you knew him. From that base?
No, I didn't know him in that day. No.
But he was another hero, and he sadly passed away about 5 years ago.
Yes, I love Jack.
He was a wonderful man. He actually he was a pilot on these...
I was a radio operator and gunner.
And a gunner.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Can I tell you a brief story about that? Because I was in Berlin.
Please do, yes.
I was in Berlin some months ago with my wife. We flew into Berlin from Italy. I'm in the air approaching Berlin. Never dreamed I would think of this, but as the radio operator gunner on all those missions, I was the guy closest to the bomb bay doors. So I was the guy who just got up off his chair a little bit, leaned over, and I could see the drop. So I was the fellow who notified the pilot that the last of the bombs had left and he could close the bomb bay doors. But when I was looking over, I saw the bombs from our bay leaving. Then I saw them gathering from all of the other planes in our squadron, and I saw hundreds of bombs being dropped. And I thought, if they don't all hit the target and one hits a home, and I thought, I don't care. The hell with them. Right. And I meant it. I can feel my teeth wishing to clench now with the degree to it that I meant it. I mean, there are fighters in the air shooting us. They're coming up from the ground.
Yeah.
The
Understandably, yes.
But the point is, I thought on the way home often, if anybody came to me at that instant with a piece of paper and a pencil and said, Mr. Lear, you signed this and you will forever mean that you didn't care if it dropped on a home. All I could do, because I've never been tested, thank God, is pray that I wouldn't be that person. I knew to my heart I would not be that person, but I haven't been tested.
Yes.
And
I read that about you. You have a conscience. In other words, in the moment, of course, you did what you had to do and you felt that way, but
I think we all have to realize in our common humanity we are capable of doing the worst of anybody else that anybody else might do, and also capable of the best. It's a question of how we decide to live.
Exactly. Speaking with Norman Lear on the Bernie and Sid Show, Norman Lear, whose movie premieres on PBS on October 25th at 9 p.m. It's called Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You, and it recounts an incredible life that Norman Lear has had, who's 94 years old, by the way. And before we move on to your early life, which I want to do momentarily, the creator of All in the Family and Buku, groundbreaking comedy shows to change the landscape on TV. But you're 94 years old. Did you vote for FDR?
I voted for FDR.
You voted for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And listen, and did you smoke, drink? What do you do? Push-ups? I mean, you take yoga, or you just laugh a lot?
You know what I do? I realize that it's taking me every split second of my life to utter the words I'm uttering now. To look at you across these two microphones in this studio, talk to the people who are listening. And it's taken them every split second of their lives to hear me talk.
Right.
So I'm way ahead of all of you because your numbers add up more than mine. Yeah, more than 94.
True. And I read that you said that a lot of people, you still have this curiosity and this zest for life. A lot of people in their old age, due to the culture, they stop in their 60s. They stop having some of the things that you have, which maybe explains why you are sitting here at 94 as sharp as ever.
Because I feel myself to be a peer of yours. If you're 50, I'm 50.
Right.
If you're 18, I'm 18.
I love it. Now, but to your life, Norman Lear, you grew up poor in Connecticut, and you mentioned before your dad did jail time. And you say that the characters, Archie Bunker, Edith Bunker, were partly inspired by your mother and your father, that your dad called you Meathead, and he referred to your mom as a dingbat and dummy and stifle yourself and all of that stuff. Tell us about your childhood.
Well, I was 9 years old when my father was taken away. He was going to Oklahoma. And my mother was saying, Herman, I don't like those men, these men he was associated with. And stifle Jeanette, and he went. He was going to bring me back a 10-gallon hat, and that might explain my fascination with my hat.
Right, which the trademark hat you have on right now.
Because he never brought back the hat, and
that's sad.
He was arrested when he got off the plane. The next night, my mother was selling the furniture. We were moving. Wow. She couldn't live there. She was so ashamed. And standing there while my mother was selling my father's red leather chair from which he used to control the radio dial, and I spent so many happy hours with him, this grown man puts his hand on my shoulder and says, well, Norman, you're the man of the house now. And that could have been the moment when I realized the foolishness of the human condition.
Right.
I'm 9 years old. I'm clenching, by the way, a roll of tape that my mother, cloth tape, that said Norman M. Lear, Norman M. Lear, Norman M. Lear. My mother had yet to sew into the camp goods that was taken with me to go to camp. I never went to camp because of this.
Right.
But in that situation, can I say asshole?
Yes, you can.
Yes, he
Absolutely.
said, Norman, you're the man of the house now. And that had to be the moment I realized the foolishness of the human condition.
Wow. No, so it was a lasting impression, of course, shaped your life essentially, and
very much so.
And then you go off heroically to World War II. I can say that you probably won't, but 52 combat missions. And then afterwards, you become sort of a traveling salesman. And in the 50s, somehow or other, you become a comedy writer for you're writing for Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, among other shows.
Right.
And just as an aside, did Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis actually really hate each other? I mean,
no, they were very connected. These were the first 3 years of the Colgate Comedy Hour and the first 3 years of their giant stardom. And Dean was a loner, and he was annoyed by a lot of Jerry's behavior. But they were good friends.
Right.
Good friends.
So you're writing comedy at this point.
Yes.
And did you have any early influences at that point?
Well, I was a kid of the Depression, so I had one uncle who used to flick me a quarter. He said he was a press agent associated with the medium, and I didn't even know what a press agent was. I was 10 years old or so. And but that was my role model. I wanted to be a press agent.
Wow, but comedically, it wasn't like Bob Hope or Jack Benny or anything like that. It was your uncle who flipped a quarter and said,
"No, I want to be a press agent." When I came to California to be a press agent, I ran into Ed Simmons. He came to be a comedy writer. Now, I had right after the war been a press agent for a year before I was fired. I could tell you why I was fired.
Please do. Well, we have plenty of time. No, if you have the time, we have the time.
I was fired for George and Dorothy Ross. They were important press agents in office. We had one show called a variety on Broadway show called Are You With It? Some few people maybe listening would remember.
Are You With It?
Are You With It was the title of the show, and Jane Dulo and Johnny Downs was a star then. They were the stars of the show. One of the acts was Buster Shaver and his midgets. And his lead midget was named Olive. So I wrote for Dorothy Kilgallen in the Journal American, a columnist, this item, which she printed. Buster Shaver was seen shopping Fifth Avenue, he on foot, with Olive, he on foot, she on a St. Bernard. And she printed it. And somebody must have said, Dorothy, what the hell are you doing? I mean, this is...
She on a St. Bernard.
So she called George Ross and wanted me fired. I was making $35 a week. He cut me to $30. And I wrote some other piece, not unlike that somebody else got, what the hell are you doing, Dorothy? This time he fired me.
Okay, so and then after that you went on to.
After that, I went out to California to be a press agent.
Right.
Ran into Simmons, who wanted. Our wives went to a movie. Our wives were friends. They went to a film together, and while they were away, we wrote a parody. And when they came home, like 10:15 or something, we went out and we sold the parody in a nightclub for like $30, $40, I don't know.
Wow.
And then we started to write together, because we saw we could make money that way.
And the history was made thereafter. So that's in the 50s. And so now move ahead now. By the way, I'm speaking to Norman Lear, whose movie premieres on PBS. Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You, Tuesday, October 25th at 9 p.m. DVDs will be released on that day. The film will be on Blu-ray, DVDs, etc. So into the 60s, you become... you actually make a movie, and you win an Oscar for this movie, Divorce.
Nominated for an Oscar.
Nominated for an Oscar, excuse me, Divorce American Style, and at the time you're trying to pitch this pilot to ABC, which eventually became All in the Family. They reject it, but
Right.
CBS ends up taking the third attempt at making this pilot, which was based, by the way, on a British show, Till Death Do Us Part, I believe is what it was called.
Yes, that was the title.
About a Cockney guy who's a xenophobe, and he's got a socialist son.
Right.
And so you take some of your mother...
I was doing the Martha Ray show when my partner Bud Yorkin was making a film in London. He saw the show, told me about it. I immediately thought, my God, how could I never have thought about that? And this took place a few days after a friend of both of ours can't remember his name at the moment, but he was just divorced with 5 kids. I was in the middle of a divorce with 1 kid. I was having a great difficulty. I said, Phil, how how'd divorce go? He said, oh, it's simple. All she wanted was my Joan Davis reruns. And I thought, oh, my God, I'm doing live television. We're well paid, but we own nothing.
Right.
I've got to do a situation comedy. A few days later, I hear about Till Death Us Do Part. I'm determined to do a situation comedy, and I'll do an American version of that.
Yes,
that's how that.
Brilliant. On your part to recognize the genius of that and bring it to this country. You finally succeed. CBS airs it in January 1971, which was a very turbulent time in this country. The Vietnam War is raging. Race relations are in the toilet at that point, and it debuts. And by the way, you initially wanted to cast, I understand, Mickey Rooney.
No, I didn't want to cast him, but I thought about him.
You thought about Mickey Rooney, but somehow or other...
No, I called him on the phone and told him what the show was all about. He said, he spoke of himself in the third person. This is unforgettable.
I mean...
And he said to me, Norm, you do that, they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you in the streets. You want to do a show with the Mick? Listen to this. Vietnam vet... Vietnam vet, private eye, short, blind, large dog.
This is he's telling you, and we wouldn't be sitting here today if you took his advice.
I'm so glad I did.
Absolutely. So you get Carol O'Connor comes along. Fortuitously, Carol O'Connor comes along and he's perfect for the part. And the show begins in January 71. And it was more than just a comedy. You characterize what it was and what you wanted All in the Family to be.
Well, I guess you could characterize it by the what the hell did they call it? The words that preceded on the air, the network, and an advisement.
Yeah, disclaimer.
A disclaimer.
Yeah.
Don't watch this show unless you're.
Yes, I have that somewhere. The disclaimer was funny, right?
And then, it was one fight after another about what we were saying and what we were doing. And they, I'd made it twice before for ABC, so they knew very well what I insisted upon doing.
Right.
But it went to the very end. The last day before, the show was airing that night in New York 3 hours earlier than California, and we were still fighting over something Archie said when he entered.
In fact, they wanted to air the second episode first,
yes.
And you said, if you do that, I quit.
I won't be here.
And you got your way, and the initial pilot did air. It was controversial. The disclaimer was, the program you are about to see is All in the Family. It seeks to throw humorous spotlight on our frailties, prejudices, and concerns. By making them a source of laughter, we hope to show in a mature fashion just how absurd they are. And then the show began and history was made. Now, Mr. Lear, speaking with Norman Lear, can you hang around? Can we do some commercials?
Absolutely.
Are you good to go? 5 minutes, you say? Well, listen.
Is that all? I thought we were going to spend the rest of the day.
I thought we were going to spend until noon. How about till 11:50? 11:50, we can't do it. So you caught a lot of hell for this show. I mean, a lot of people loved it. It got mixed reviews. People loved it, and some people said it reinforced bigotry, and you said no. And by the way, you invoked your family. You said some bigots are lovable. It turns out that people liked Archie, in other words, to make a long story interminable.
Yeah, but nobody ever wrote me who liked Archie, and I did get a lot of mail who didn't say somewhere toward the end of some letter, but why don't you go back where you came from, or Jew bastard.
You got that?
Yeah. I got a lot of that.
But still, even people, for example, people like Bill Cosby, civil rights groups were split. Some people said it was brilliant. Bill Cosby said it's offensive, get it off the air, and other people said no, it's doing. By laughter, we're exposing, we're purging prejudice by exposing it, and I think that sentiment won the day.
It did win the day. And today, I walk into these studios and 3 people come up to me quickly and tell me how much they laughed with their family.
Oh, my God.
Laughing with their dads is something I hear all the time. That
You ain't lying, Norman. I laugh like with my family as well. Watch on Saturday night. Some nights you had 50 million people watching on a Saturday night. Incredible.
Yes.
And it ran for
My favorite statistic is reading once that the water table in New York shifted when commercials came on.
Right. And let me ask you this now. Today's politically correct climate, you wouldn't be able to make that show, nor would you be able to have made the Jeffersons and some of the other shows because they would say that a white guy can't make a show about black people. I mean, what do you think about the climate today? Even have Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock won't perform on college campuses and you're a big First Amendment guy because they say free speech is under attack all over the place. What do you think about the climate today, Norman Lear?
I think we are, we're back where we were, if not further, in the depths.
We've regressed, in your opinion.
I think so. When you look at the LGBT issue and see how far it's moved over the years, with the media helping it every step of the way, you realize where race issues are concerned, we're no place. We're just where we were at the time.
Right. It's a sad.
But we're talking about it more, and that's where the hope lies.
Okay, there is an optimistic note there. Now, you addressed, somebody asked you, would Archie Bunker vote for Donald Trump? And you say?
I said, I think Donald Trump represents the middle finger of the American right hand.
Right.
The American people look about at the bank that just which one is the bank? The Wells Fargo.
Recently,
the cosmetic company that the pharmaceutical company.
Sure, the Unimed thing, whatever they call it. Not
the
Unimed.
automobile
EpiPen.
EpiPen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you look, we are so mistreated, we humans of the species,
and you think
our leadership.
Trump is a manifestation of that anger.
Yes, he is. They're saying this is the kind of leadership you give us. Take this, and he represents that middle finger of the American right hand that's saying take this. And I know they're showing great, in numbers that are frightening. But I believe at the heart they know who the hell he is, and
which is, in your opinion, you could speak your mind. Which is what? What do you think he is?
Well, he's. I started to say horse's ass. He's so much worse than a horse's ass.
Yeah, I'm a big Jill Stein guy. I have to tell you.
I think of horse's ass. He's a horse's dump.
Hey, Norman Lear, listen, sadly we are out of time. But the American Masters on PBS, it's the American Masters show series on PBS. Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You. Don't miss it, folks. Tuesday, October 25th at 9 p.m. on PBS, Channel 13 or 21 in this area. Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You. An American treasure. It's all about his life, about making All in the Family, the Jeffersons, Good Times, Maude. We thank you, we love you, and we thank you for everything. So check it out, Norman Lear, an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for coming in on the Bernie and Sid show on WABC.
Thank you, Bernie of Bernie and Sid.
And we'll be back after Deb with the news. I'll call for it. Hey, back on Bernie and Sid on 77 WABC. Without my boy Sid Rosenberg, who's celebrating, he's commemorating. You don't celebrate Yom Kippur, right, Jill?
No, I like to eat too much.
No, but what I mean is it's a somber holiday.
Right. I'm one of those reformed. I'm reformed, so I don't really.
You don't know? You have no idea.
I don't really do that.
Reformed or deformed, did you say?
Reformed, we don't have to.
You don't have, but it's a day of atonement. In other words, right. It's not a Happy New Year type of day. You don't say, Happy Yom Kippur to people.
Oh no, you don't celebrate, right?
Right.
You
just a little bit slow.
You have to go to temple and think about everything bad you've done. Some people could be there all day.
Norman Lear, by the way, he was just amazing. The only reason why, by the way, that you didn't become a Jew for a day was because Norman Lear was coming.
I couldn't miss not meeting him.
Right.
I had to meet him.
Otherwise, you would not be here.
Oh, I would not be here.
You'd be like, you told the management, you're like, no, I'm Jewish, I'm out.
Yes. And then I found out I booked him for
But Norman, this is the only day he could come in.
Yeah.
So you wanted to come in. And he was just...
He was a teddy bear. He asked you for a hug after the interview.
A teddy bear. Not only we were taking pictures, and he goes, I don't want to take a picture. I want to hug.
I know.
And
I almost cried.
I hugged him. He hugged me. He hugged me for a long.
We put it on our Twitter at Bernie.
What a sweetheart.
And Facebook.
What a nice, gentle
soul.
Absolutely. And a genius, too, to boot. Brilliant. I mean...
I told them, I said, thank you for making my grandparents laugh so much.
And all
when
of
they
us.
Were here.
Yeah,
and
right. Your late grandparents.
Yeah,
right.
because every time I went to their apartment in Queens, All in the Family was on.
No doubt. Boy, the way Glenn Miller played. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to get into I thought he could stay till noon, and then the mean lady said no.
He has other appointments today.
His father called him, as I mentioned during the interview, this is where he got these lines from. His father called him meathead, called his mother dingbat, told his mother, will you stifle yourself there, huh?
It's amazing.
And he also would say, you're the laziest white man I ever seen. His father said that, which would eventually Archie Bunker used to say that. So he got those things, a lot of it based on his own, and his mother also was, Edith, was based on his mom.
Yeah, he's...
And of course, yes, there was some pushback against the shows because they were, they contained what people considered racist jokes or whatever.
It was funny watching Archie and George Jefferson go at each other. That was funny. What's wrong with that?
Right, it was, and eventually, and as he pointed out, and I was going to let him do so in the interview, Gloria and Mike, Meathead, they always got the last word. They always had the last word.
That's true.
So that was his point. And he made people laugh. And he says that he said that he also, at one point in an interview, you'll see it in the film, actually. I saw it in an excerpt from the film. He says they talk about weightlifting and running, makes you live longer. He says, I believe laughter makes people live longer. And
can't be so serious in life, people.
You cannot. But I have to tell you, I was very impressed by Norman Lear. I'm just sorry that, again, that mean lady just made him leave.
But he wants to come back.
He wants to. In fact, his phrase was, one of his famous favorite phrases is, to be continued.
That's right.
I wanted to ask him about what he thinks of Larry David, Woody Allen, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld, et cetera, et cetera.
Save it.
Family Guy.
I love Family Guy. Do you watch it?
Sure, of course. I watch a lot. I don't have all that much free time to sit around and watch cartoons, but cartoons they're reading, huh?
Seth MacFarlane is a
funny dude. I know. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious. Anyway, let's regroup here. Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC. And, of course, I'll get back into politics. I knew he wouldn't like Donald Trump. I knew that. But still, he acknowledges that Trump is, as I said, a manifestation of the anger that's out there.
I love how you told him you were a Jill Stein supporter.
Yeah, what am I going to tell?
You're smart.
I got to tell Norman Lear.
He'll get up and walk out.
He wouldn't, though. He's not one of those guys because the whole PC culture that we have, he's not down with that crap. He's not down with that at all.
I guess he doesn't watch O'Reilly because he would have recognized you.
Perhaps, yeah. But, yeah. Well, I don't even know where he lives.
He lives in California. He flew in yesterday.
Right. So anyway, and plus a war hero flew all those combat missions. We just had in the studio a man who voted for Franklin Delano Roosevelt, for God's sakes.
It's crazy. Amazing.
Unbelievable. 1-800-848-9222. Okay, let's get back to the real world. And I was talking earlier about Billy Bush. Billy Bush is collateral damage from the Donald Trump's comments on that bus. They say he's out. And, of course, that's highly, highly, highly unfair. All of a sudden this week, everybody's a Puritan. Everybody is a sanctimonious, offended Puritan. Billy Bush objectified women. But next week they'll be back to, celebrating women's sexuality and shaking their asses and putting on the hottest babes on TV. But right now he objectified women, and Billy Bush is out, and of course Donald Trump under siege for some really, really stupid comments. But all said in a terrible attempt to ingratiate himself with Billy Bush. Nobody talks like that in the locker room. Nobody. You could tell even Trump was uncomfortable uttering those words. I just grabbed him in the what? Nobody says that, but so that's the big conversation out there. Billy Bush and how Trump objectified women. And, of course, you have, we pointed out earlier, on FM, on satellite radio, on TV, women are objectified on cable TV by some of these these people who are professing outrage over this. I mean, you don't see fat, unattractive women on these cable news shows. You don't see them. So, I mean, everybody objectifies women. I'm sorry, it's a sad state, a sad commentary. We're all a bunch of shallow hals out there. So stop with the feigned outrage, is what I would say. And let's go to Dan from New Jersey first, Flirty. Dan from New Jersey. You're on the Bernie and Sid show, minus my boy Sid Rosenberg, who we miss. Dan, good morning.
Good morning, Bernie. Too bad Mr. Lear didn't take calls, but I think it's really noteworthy. The shows he did, you could see his political opinion in them, but he showed respect for other people as well. Archie had his moments, but Archie was a human being. And they were all decent people. Those shows could never show today in today's politically correct,
that's right,
anxious environment. You couldn't show a different point of view. You couldn't show anybody looking decent.
No,
you agree with them.
No, you could not. It's a sad commentary on the Times, and he had a comment about people who were bigoted in his own family. He says, I don't think the millions who watch this show could be conned into thinking. Well, he cited his own family. This is what he says. He responded to a critique of All in the Family about how you're making bigots lovable, and he said he argued that, quote, arguing that of course bigots could be lovable, as anyone with a family knew,
right?
Because he had them in his own family, and but he was trying to change all that, and that's what he was doing. You couldn't do that today. It's a sad commentary, and he was a lovable guy.
Yeah, let me make, if I may, one more comment regarding Paul Ryan, and you know this yourself. In these kind of street fights, the winner of the fight is usually the person more willing to fight, and this Republican Party is not willing to fight.
No.
The Democrats are, and that's why they win. They fight dirty, but they fight together.
Right, and they fight to the bitter end. And then we have guys with a month out from the election, and they're giving up. They're waving the white flag. Oh, yeah, the chips are down. Okay, but you keep fighting. You don't stop. You don't give up. Unless you really want her to win, and you're thinking about yourself in 2020, which makes you even a bigger pusillanimous POS. You fight. And, I mean, the war could still be won. We lost a couple of battles here. But you see the collusion with the media with these recently hacked emails. The disgustingly corrupt, rigged collusion between the Hillary campaign, the DNC, and many buku outlets out there. It's just disgusting. So, but now that it's being exposed, there's still events can transpire that can change the course of the election. So to wave the white flag now is really, really disgusting. And it gives, speaking of it gives a middle finger to the people who voted to make Trump the nominee of the party. Who the hell are you to say that you're going to abandon the fight? Who the hell are you? You fight. Anthony from Brooklyn, you're on with Bernie and Sid without Sid on WABC. He would be disagreeing with me right now. Anthony, you're on with Bernie. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yes, hi. I was just going to tell you that Trump is going to win. And number two, you should have asked Norman Lear about the American Way, the communist anti-Christian organization that he runs.
Right. Well, I didn't want to get into a fight with Norman Lear. I know I know he's a liberal, and I know what he's done in the past. I had a certain amount of time to get into certain things. Yeah. Okay. So his intentions are noble. He may be misguided in some of the things he aligns himself with or says.
Oh, shut up, Anthony.
Anthony curses. You got that?
Yeah, he's gone. Never heard.
Anthony, you can't curse, Anthony. You can't. Can you make a point without a profanity?
He's 94.
He's 94. I'm going to get into a fight with Norman Lear because I know what he is. I understand his political point of view. For God's sakes, let's go.
God, people.
All right, how about Kevin from New Jersey? Kevin, you're on with Bernie and no Sid this morning. He's out for Yom Kippur. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, good morning, Bernie. I don't know if you remember me, but I called before about how Hillary Clinton is such a hypocrite, talking about she have hot sauce in her pocketbook.
Oh yes, pandering. Yes.
Right.
And how about
pandering?
How about I don't feel no ways tired? I mean, you talk about some racist pandering. But anyway, go ahead, Kevin.
But anyway, I was just calling to touch on what you were saying, how much these people in the media are hypocrites, where they got like Amber Rose on Dancing with the Stars. She actually got a program, like some type of quote-unquote charity walk or whatever, and it promotes slut. The actual name is the Slut Walk, and that's Amber Rose, and she's on Dancing with the Stars. So, I mean, they go at Donald Trump for saying something like that, but
right. In other words, to the argument about objectifying women. The media, these people who finance these shows, and the women themselves objectify themselves. That's what they want to do. That's what our culture is all about these days. And all of a sudden,
Absolutely.
this week.
In one quick note, Bernie, I just want to say how you talk about the FM radio, like. You could barely listen to it because I don't even allow my nieces or my nephews to listen to the trash that come on that.
And where is the outrage? That's what right, Kevin.
None.
You listen to FM radio, and we played some of the songs earlier. They're using the P word. Go ahead.
Some of the songs. I'm sorry. Some of them is like the 50 Cent one and all that. G Unit. That's kind of old.
Now let me just tell you something, Kevin.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I enjoy a lot of the FM radio music. Right. I enjoy it, but I'm talking about the hypocrisy. Don't profess and feign all this outrage and ignorance like you didn't know it was happening, and selectively be outraged at Billy Bush and Donald Trump all of a sudden for objectifying women when it's all over the place. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And FM radio in particular. You talk about Amber Rose. I'm sure she's been called. They call them big booty bitches. I mean, that's used frequently. I mean, on an hourly basis on FM radio.
You're right. It's every day. It's a bombardment, and it's not just like with millions and millions of songs. It's the same songs and it's the same lyrics. But that's my point, Bernie.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Good call. Thank you, Kevin from New Jersey. On Bernie and Sid, without Sid for Yom Kippur. Again, we're still reeling from the appearance of the legendary Norman Lear. Despite that dude from Brooklyn who...
what a loser.
Good Lord. Can't we all just get along sometime? I'm going to fight with Norman Lear.
What a meathead.
What a meathead. Dummy up there, you, huh? That's what I should have said to him there. Bernie and Sid show back after this.
77 WABC. Traffic.